If you want to get into the NBA, you gotta go big. At least that's what Iowa State guard Tyrese Haliburton thinks, who just filed for the 2020 NBA draft and will be giving up his last 2 years of college eligibility. Why waste time, right? But do you really know who Haliburton is? Don't bother Googling. Here we bring you everything you need to know about him. And most of all, if there's a chance he'll actually make the top 5 in the draft. To find out, just join us until the end of the video. Tyrese Haliburton ended the 2019-20 season with an injury, with a broken wrist that ended his year. He first suffered the injury in a December training session, but the setback officially put him out of commission during a February 8th game against Kansas State. Though he only played 22 games as a sophomore, he still showed his talent in every aspect, averaging 15.2 points, 6.5 assists, and 5.9 rebounds per game. He excelled in defense with 2.5 steals per game, and also with 41.9% of his three-point shots. The 2018 three-star recruit consistently filled out the stat sheet as a rookie, including a game with 17 assists, but had a low usage rate around older players. This wasn't a problem during his sophomore season when he became an option that remained efficient on offense. Even with his injury, Haliburton is an elite prospect thanks to his production at both ends and his advantage as a 6'5" point guard with a 7-foot wingspan. Add to this his shooting ability, his basketball IQ, and his ability to defend various positions, and you should hear his name in early June. Bleacher Report's Jonathan Wasserman predicted Haliburton would be number 4 on the general team before the injury, and should remain a top choice. Tyrese Haliburton is a 6'5", 174-pound point guard born on February 29, 2000. After playing high school basketball in the state of Wisconsin, he arrived at Iowa State University qualified as a 3-star prospect and not appearing in the top 100 of his class in the specialized rankings. In his first year with the Cyclones, he was a starter, although with low averages. 6.8 points and 3.6 assists, spending 33.2 minutes per game on the court, in a role quite overshadowed by the presence of players like Mariel Shayok, Talon Horton-Tucker, and Lindell Wigginton. However, without them in the team, 2019-2020 saw him make a very interesting jump in quality, 15.2 points, 6.5 assists, and 5.9 rebounds, with an excellent 63.1% of true shooting percentage and doubling his percentage of use from a very low 9% to 20%. The first thing that stands out about Haliburton is his very good physical profile to be pure point guard. He is 6'4", has long arms, and is a good athlete, even without being particularly explosive. Going strictly to his playing characteristics, it all starts with his passing skills. The Wisconsin man has a great field vision and is a classic point guard, always looking for the teammate first before his own shot. His 6.5 assists per game were the 4th best NCAA record in 2019-2020 among the big conferences. His facility to play pick and roll and to find the inside player in the falls is especially interesting. It also shows excellent pocket pass management, a key resource to stand out in pair play. He consistently looks for shooters, especially in the corners, showing creativity and speed in decision-making. He gets good passes to his teammates. His ratio of assists, 267, to turnovers, 89, seems unbeatable. Thanks to his height, he is able to see over the mark and has no problem making inbound passes for the big men. As a passer, he is truly the complete package. Haliburton is far from being a scorer, but his percentages in the NCAA were phenomenal. He shot 43% in three-pointers in almost 5 attempts for every 40 minutes. Besides being very effective as a finisher, 75% in 2019-2020, according to Hoop Math, and exceeding 80% in free throws during the last season. In defense, his potential is also interesting. His combination of height, long arms, and speed give him a lot of versatility. He comes from having the best stealing average, 2.5, of all the big conferences, gives a good amount of covers, and even collaborates as a bouncer, both in defense and in attack. As drawbacks in his game can be said little, his main weakness is the lack of scoring production. His 15.2 points in Iowa State are more a reflection of the little talent he had around him that season than a skill that could be projected to the NBA, at least in his first steps in the league. What's more worrying is his low aggression and how little he seeks contact. He averaged just 1.2 free throws and 34.6 minutes in college, an incredibly low number for a player of his characteristics. Haliburton must strengthen his body and be more aggressive, especially considering the doubts about his outside shot. He had very good percentages in the NCAA, but his pitching mechanics are bad and could bring him problems in terms of professionalism. That's why it's not an exaggeration to say that if NBA headquarters is looking for a player in the 2020 NBA draft, who better fits the current basketball brand? They shouldn't look any further than Tyrese Haliburton. Haliburton may be at his best with the ball in his hands, but he is capable of playing with the ball in offense, and has the length to switch comfortably through three-pointers at the defensive end. That type of player doesn't come along very often, and that's one of the main reasons why guys with their tools are often found being selected in the lottery. Many are quick to compare him to guys like Lonzo Ball and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We don't think those comparisons are particularly accurate, but the only thing they have in common is that they ooze potential. Iowa State's Haliburton team performed terribly last season. The Cyclones went 12-20 for the year, and were a disastrous 5-13 in the Big 12 action. But the sophomore shooting guard averaged 15.2 points, 6.5 assists, 5.9 rebounds, and 2.5 steals per game. And he continued to shine even when his support team constantly disappointed him. That's not easy to do. The fact that Haliburton only averaged 6.5 assists per game is quite remarkable. He shot 41.9% of 3 last year, but no one on the team shot better than 33.7%. That's pretty rare. So while Haliburton was constantly preparing his teammates for success, they weren't able to keep up their end of the bargain. Two things teams will wonder about Haliburton is whether he will be able to do a triple or score on his own. As mentioned earlier, Haliburton shot over 41.9% from the outside when he was in his second year. He also was in the 99th percentile in spot-up situations last year, scoring 1.431 points per possession. That number increased to 1.579 when he went unguarded, but was still a remarkable 1.394 with a defender nearby. Normally, those numbers wouldn't leave any scouts worried, but Haliburton has an extremely unorthodox pitch on his jersey. Obviously, the fact that he got in is a good thing, and he clearly makes triples often. However, he has a slow throw. He can also pull his elbow out too much. These things will have to be addressed once he starts working with an NBA coach. Fortunately, his mechanics are not as far off as someone like Ball. Haliburton will also occasionally shoot differently in midfield, and that shot looks much closer than teams will want to see him in the future. The fact that he's shown he can do it is a good sign. One thing that prohibits Haliburton from being a great driver is the fact that he needs to gain a significant amount of weight. Right now, Haliburton is very thin and lacks the strength he needs to be the physical presence he could be in 5 years. That same lack of strength is also one of his greatest defensive weaknesses. He projects himself as one of the most interchangeable defenders in this draft, but he's going to have to add some weight to his structure in order to regularly protect the NBA wings. The 20-year-old has excellent defensive instincts, and he ended up defending solo last year in 84% of the cases. But protecting NBA players will be more difficult, so he can help himself by working in the weight room. Until then, look for him to continue using his length to make plays like these. Really, he deserves to be mentioned more often with the best guards in this draft. LaMelo Ball and Killian Hayes are both excellent prospects, but Haliburton is not that far behind either of them. We believe he is one floor higher than most of those who will be selected in the lottery. With his combination of size and skill, it's hard to imagine him being worse than a very good alternate. But we see him integrating easily. That makes him a great consolation prize for teams that miss out on a top 5 pick. So we don't know if he will really make it in the top 5 in the next draft, but do you have any doubt that we made it clear that he deserves it? Well, if you agree, leave a comment down below, or tell us which ones are your favorites for the draft. Would you leave Haliburton out? We hope you enjoyed the video. We post Monday through Friday, so make sure to hit the bell icon to be notified, and don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe down below.